video as long as this thing holds out. But one thing is true, because I only have a small amount of space, so it's going to go and click in probably in the middle of my conversation. And if it happens, if I suddenly stop, you know that's what happened. But the thing is that I've been thinking about intelligence and the whole thing about these debates that people get into. You know, and I was listening to one guy who was talking about it. And I agree with him. He's an atheist. I'm not an atheist. But I think if he and I got together and we really wanted to talk, we could have a really wonderful conversation, because we realize that everything doesn't have to revolve around religion, or talk about how stupid religion is, or how stupid religious people are, you know, or how smart, or how, you know. See, because in a funny way, I'd said once before on this thing about my views on religion, that when I look at religion and I think about it, I'm not really a religious person. I mean, I do believe in God in a way. I say that. It doesn't square with, you know, biblical stuff. Because I criticize the, you know, it's not really, I wouldn't even call it criticize the Bible. I don't criticize the Bible anymore than I criticize, you know, Shakespeare or Greek mythology. I don't criticize it. But, you know, the thing is that people follow stuff in the Bible. If I criticize anything, it would be those people who do certain things. But people, it's not even, I mean, I'm going to say something that probably is going to make people like, oh, what's his name, go crazy. But, you know, I don't really have a lot of criticism for religion itself. Because my thing is that people are responsible for whatever decisions they make. It's you. You decide. You know, one of the things that I like about Jean-Paul Sartre was he talked about, you know, this whole thing about responsibility. He didn't go into a long, lengthy thing, but really, one of the most important things is to be responsible for things. Because the truth is, he wasn't so much recommending that as it is a matter of saying that basically what people are spending most of the time trying to do is avoid being responsible for things. We do an action, and then we try to distance ourselves from it. We do this thing called bad faith. You know, that the term that he uses in existentialism, bad faith. We don't own up to what we do. If I'm going to hit you upside the head, then I hit you upside the head, and I did it. I made the choice. You know, but what people do is they hit you upside the head, and then if they get caught by the police, then they'll say, well, it was because I had a bad childhood, or because I had some impulse I couldn't control, or because of some other thing. You know, it's always some other reason, some explanation you have to give. It wasn't you. It was the society. It was the man. It was, you know, it was whatever. And I think a lot of times religion becomes that way too. One thing that turns me off about religion isn't what's in the Bible. I know a lot of people always bring up, oh, the Bible says stone people, the Bible says things about gay people, and the Bible says this about whatever. It's not what the Bible says. It's the people that I meet who go to church all the time. And to me, it's always this funny thing. The more religious people are, the more they turn me off. And I say that because I look at how, maybe I'm being a little bit, you know, biased in some way. I haven't sampled enough people. This isn't done scientifically. But it seemed like people who are the most preachy and sanctified and holiest type people are the worst people when it comes to things. They're the ones who steal, cheat, lie, do everything. The worst things. You know, and they use religion as sort of a cover for things. It's what those individuals do. I don't care what your book says. It's what you do. You are responsible for what you do. You know. But people can always say, well, that's, you know, if they get caught, of course the devil made me do it. Like that preacher, the one, the famous one. I forget what his name is. It was Pat Roberts. No, it wasn't Pat Roberts. It was, but it was Jimmy Swaggart, who got caught with a prostitute in a hotel somewhere, something like that, whatever. And then there was Ted Haggard too, you know. And it was always, well, I was weak and Satan did this and I was tempted by the devil and he made me do it. The devil, you know, like, remember that thing Flip Wilson used to always say, the devil made me do it. Yeah. That's always what it is. It's everything but saying I'm responsible for what I do. At the end of the day, that's what it's got to be. If I do something, I'm responsible for it. You can say, well, society pushed me. No, you can make a choice. You know, sometimes it's difficult because I make a choice and I get punished. I can make a choice to stand up for somebody who's being mistreated. I've been in situations like that where you kind of, you know that you can be in that. I mean, I know what it's like. And I know in other parts of the world it's even worse where you stand up and you get executed, you know, if you say, no, this is wrong. Sometimes you're forced in situations. And you have to make tough choices. And I can't criticize people for tough choices in those moments. You know, I'm not criticizing people at all, really, to be honest with you. But there are lots of times, just in the everyday situations, where people don't want to be responsible for their own actions. They do things, they say things, they do things, and they don't want to say, look, I'm the one who did that. I made this choice. I did that. This is my thing. This is what I decided. And I've learned to be, you know, that type of person, to just say what I think and get into the habit of doing it. So when you get into those more critical moments, you know, I mean, there's no right choice. I mean, if somebody tell you to, you know, to do something and they got a gun to your head, and if you refuse, you know, what can you say? I don't know what to say to people like that, you know. I can sit there and say, oh, if you should do that. Yeah, but I'm not in that situation. You know. I'm not in that situation. But most times in life, 99% of the time, we're not in situations like that. We're just so busy trying to come up with reasons why we're not responsible for something. You know, take responsibility. That's my thing. That's the whole message I got to say.